If you've been feeling stuck or feeling like you just aren't capable of making the necessary changes in order for you to actually transform your life and create the life that you deep down dream of creating, my hope is that today's podcast episode is going to inspire you to move boldly in the direction of what it is that you want for your life. And I was so lucky that I got to sit down with Grace Johnson this week. Her flying in from Houston to Los Angeles, I got to spend the day with her. She is a longtime Dream Life Society community member, which is the app that I have with the most incredible, supportive souls and beautiful individuals. And today she shares with us how she's been able to completely transform her life over the past year from applying the different tools that I also have applied in my life that really step by step, month by month, week by week, help us transform in ways that create a life wilder, more beautiful and powerful than we could have ever imagined. On the day that this episode comes out, we start our November Transformation Challenge, where you will get all of the different self-identity, rewiring, journaling prompts. We have weekly conversations, weekly coaching calls, daily conversations, 7 different workout programs depending on your level and your goals. We have all of my recipes, macro support, meal plans for anyone who has been feeling like the things that they've been doing has not been working. In my Dream Life Society, we make the impossible possible. We support each other and we cheer each other on. So if you want to become a part of our November challenge or the membership whenever you're listening to this episode, I would love to invite you into our beautiful community and make the massive transformation in your life that you today are going to see Grace has done for her own life. You can click the link in the description to join us today. And without further ado, let's dive into today's podcast episode with Grace Johnson. Grace Johnson, I am so excited to have you on my Challenge Your Norm podcast today, but not just having you on my podcast. We've gotten to spend the whole day together.
Yes.
We met at 10:30 at the gym, got an awesome workout in, because we've known each other now since August 2024, when you joined my community, and you have continued to inspire me in ways that the audience today is going to just feel the beautiful energy, but also wisdom that you have inside of you. And I'm so excited to dive in to all of your knowledge and just mindset towards life, because you have, since I've gotten to know you, improved your life and leveled up again and again and again. And every time I'm struggling, someone in the community is struggling, you have a way of helping us navigate those challenges in life. And I know it's because you've gone through challenges yourself and have helped yourself overcome these different times in your life. I would like to start off with getting an understanding just from the past year since you've been in my community. Where was Grace in August, September 2024? And where's she today?
First of all, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here in LA and get to spend the day with you and work out. And it's been the perfect time that I've been here. Back in August, I was literally just frustrated with the way that my body looked. And I was just like, I know that I'm an athlete. I know that my body should be working for me and not against me. And I was just disregarding a lot of healthy habits that I've had prior to, because I played soccer in college, and I was like, I know what it feels like to be in shape and what it feels like to be good. And I wasn't. And I was like super annoyed with myself. So I was like, let me do a DEXA scan. Let me see what the baseline is. And I spent a year just figuring out what the baseline was. Like, where am I? What are the metrics? And I was at 35% body fat, and I was in the 80th percentile. And for me to be in the 80th percentile in anything, it more so just made me mad at myself, because I was like, I'm the top percentile of pretty much everything I've ever done. And so I was like, this has to change. And it was just painful enough to want to actually make a shift and change. And so I found your program, and I was like, oh, somebody can actually teach me the science behind what it is that I didn't know in college. And so that was really helpful.
That's incredible. And I just gotta brag a little bit, because at that time you said you were over 35% body fat and also at around 2 pull-ups is what you could
At
do.
around 2 pull-ups.
And today she did freaking 10 pull-ups. And I know that previously you've also been able to do 11 pull-ups, but not just that. Today are in the lower 20-ish
Lower 20s percentile, yeah.
But you have been down to 18% when you were like fully like hammered in.
Yeah.
Which now we're going to talk about that later, but we've set another challenge for you today. And you said it even earlier, but today we got like really clear on what the goal is.
Yeah.
And it's just so impressive what you've done. It's like a clear transformation, but not just physically, but also in your business, in your personal evolution and how you go about life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I think that when I learned this concept of the knowing and doing gap, I was like, there's a lot of things that people know. So like people know move your body, eat healthy. People know like if I do this, it produces income. If I do this, it doesn't. Like, but there's a gap between knowing what we know and then doing what we actually need to do. And I think over the 10 years that I've been in personal development that I was like, got it. I just needed to be made aware of what the actual problem was. And so I think I've gotten really good at identifying problems and then solving for problems.
How do you do that? Someone right now is like stuck in some area. Mm-hmm. How do you identify the problem? How do you even figure out what's wrong and why they're not improving?
I think a lot of it is, it's trial and error, but it's like if you... Like for me, I didn't actually know what the problem was with fitness. I just knew I was annoyed with myself. And so my initial thought was, I'm annoyed. How can I solve this? Who knows the answer? And somebody who would know the answer would look in shape and have the body that I wanted to aspire to. And so I was like, I would learn from somebody who's got the results. And I think learning from people who have the results in the very specific thing that you wanted to do is very, it's just wise. And then going into research mode. I think going into research mode of like, what's the best thing for me? How can I go about solving this problem? And sometimes you don't know the exact problem. You know a general direction, because I didn't know that my problem was body fat percentage. I didn't know that it was progressive overload. I kind of learned that as we were going, that was like the two things I've never been taught was train progressive overload and eat more protein. And so I was like, I learned that over time, but I just knew that I had a problem. And I was like, saw your transformation and I was like, oh, you can at least solve this problem. Mm-hmm. And so that was the initial start to it.
That's incredible. Now that we're on this area, you said to me today that you wanted in the workout to know, or like to be pushed to your limit so that you know what I feel.
Reset my minimum standard.
Yeah. Do you feel that happened today? Is there something what did you feel throughout the workout? Just for anyone listening, that's like, what does it actually look like to push yourself?
Throughout the workout, I was like, I'm going to pass out. And
no way! What?
I was like, but...
You did push yourself.
But I did push myself. I did probably more sets. Sometimes I'll stop after a set and then be like, there's no way I can do more. And I've never actually tried to do 2 PRs or 2 attempts at PRs and then go do deficits and then go do more of it.
Yeah. And
that was just the start of our workout.
Yeah, that was like this, yeah.
And so I was like, it reset my minimum standard because, that's what I hope to do when I'm around anybody that's like, they obviously know how it is to go about doing the specific thing. And that's why I put myself in places to where I have to up my game in order to level up. Because it's like, until you see it and observe it, you don't know exactly where you are. And so having an identification, a marker of like, this is an experience that's worth all of the weight in gold to be able to have that experience, to be able to take that experience and put it into practice in my own life.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, my arms should feel like they're hurting.
Yeah. For anyone who is not a part of my program, to get better at pull-ups, what we do inside of my program is like progressive overload when it comes to pull-ups. But the way we do that is go really heavy first for a couple of reps, however many you can do, and then you do deficits, then you lower the weight, you do more reps and then deficits, and then you push body weight, pull-ups till failure. And there's different ways to do this, even if you can't do a pull-up yet. There's different ways. However, you probably saw me when I was doing the pull-ups, and like I am dying.
You're dying.
And I keep going.
Oh, got it.
And the reason I'm doing that is because I've seen other people do that. And if I want to get to, my PR has been 21 pull-ups. If I want to get to 30 pull-ups, I need to push myself way past what feels uncomfortable and keep it going.
Yeah.
I saw that too. When you were doing your deficits, I was like, let's lower the weight, and then you got more. And it's like pushing, when you're done, you push more.
Yeah.
Just for anyone listening that like, I don't understand why I'm not building muscle or why I'm not progressing. You gotta freaking do that. And even when you're doing overhead presses, you hit a PR today.
Yeah.
And then also we lowered the weight, and then you did
more
6 the first time. And then when I was watching you, I think you ended up doing 9. Yeah. So it's like, if someone's imagine someone being next to you and being like, one more. Yeah. Just for anyone listening, that's like.
But having I think coaching, because you can do coaching so many different ways. You can have coach in person, you can have a coach online, you can do so many different things. But once you know what it should feel like, then you can coach yourself. And I don't think you always have to have a coach, because I'm like, that's a lot of work to always have a coach around.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways to learn. Yeah. Like, I know both of us are big readers. We listen to podcasts. Like, our mentors often don't know we exist.
Yeah.
And we're just learning
vicariously from. Yeah.
You have talked a lot about how you are not a normal person. You're a little bit outside of the norm, like I am.
Yeah.
And you're choosing a different path than the regular path, and potentially have family members like me that don't get that.
Yeah.
What gives you the confidence to believe that you are capable of creating the life that you want instead of choosing the normal route?
I don't know. I've always had this dead set confidence in my ability to figure it out. I think the figure it out button is like broken. It doesn't turn off, because that's how I did soccer. That's how I did content creation. That's how I did video, like figuring out. I also have an extreme patience to figure it out. I think God gave me the gift of patience, which sometimes I'm appreciative, and sometimes I'm like, can we make this work faster? But patience and the willingness to figure it out, because I believe that if somebody else can do it, so can I. And so if somebody else has figured this out, I can do it too. And it doesn't have to look exactly like them, but it can be my own flavor and how I go about doing it. But my family is also like completely like military background, so like I understand why it is that they don't believe the way that I do. And I was like, that's just a pure upbringing. And so being able to be observant of like how they actually grew up, how they went about doing their work, and the sheer amount of like passion they had for their work, I'm like, I can take that passion, put it into my work. It's just different.
And I feel like this is an interesting route to go into, because I remember at one point you were staying with a family member. You don't have to go into details at all, but it was kind of, you were expressing that there had always been challenges, but now you looked at it suddenly from a different perspective, which your relationship had never been that good, even though you were living together at that time.
Yeah, that time was fun, because it was like being able to really sit there and be like, I understand this human from a different perspective. I might not get everything, but we could have a dynamic that now works, and it's, I wouldn't say fun, but it's easier, it's lighter, it's more joyful, and less combative, because I think I can be really stubborn, but that takes two to be it takes two. So I'm like,
yes. Oh my gosh, I need to remind myself of that often too.
So it's like, I can chill out my stubbornness, but I also need to be met with that. And so when I stopped being that, it stopped being reflected.
Yeah.
And so it was a really cool experience.
Yeah. I love that. Also, talking about relationships, you just moved to a new location. And I want you to share with the audience how you have committed to create new relationships. Yeah.
So when I move, or like I've moved around my whole life, military brat, and like been able to I've had 47 roommates at this point in my life.
47?
Yeah, I think I counted it. Something.
Wow.
Just throughout college, throughout host stay, and like when I was playing semi-pro, and I've had so many different roommates, so I've learned so many different dynamics of humans that I'm just like, I need to be around new people. But point being was, I have to go to events. I have to put myself in situations where I need to grow, and I need to go and explore different networks of people. And so I went to like a soccer event last week, which was just, it lit up my soul. It lit up my, like, I made 10 new friends right off of Instagram, and we get to keep in touch now. So I'm like really good at taking in-person stuff, turning it into online, keeping the relationship, finding a unique way to stay in touch with somebody, and then building that relationship through social media. And I think that if I hadn't ever started using social media for what its intention is for, it's to be social, then I wouldn't have so many friends all over the place in all these different countries and cities, and I wouldn't find these events that people are throwing.
How do you find these events for people who are like, I don't have anyone in my close environment?
ChatGPT is great for finding events. That's literally how I found the Run Club here. Because I knew that there was a run club
Grace
happening.
went to the
Venice,
run club, Venice Run Club yesterday with Charlene, who's also part of our community, which just lit up my soul. Because you guys posted in the group that you guys had done that. So cool.
But I knew about that prior to. So I knew, because last week when I was like, I knew I'm going on this trip, I'm trying to figure out, like, I value novelty when I'm traveling. So like the spontaneity, the spontaneousness of travel always brings so many random like experiences. But I was like, run club sounds interesting. Let me see if there's a run club in the city. In ChatGPT, I was like, I will be in this city, this place at this time. Find me events in the city. And so when you get really good at prompting the AI to help you figure out your life, it gave me the link to it. And I was like, okay, so it's on Wednesday. I still didn't know where it actually was. And then Charlene and I were just chatting, and she was like, oh yeah, they meet right there. We'll just do it. And I was like, okay, this is perfect.
Yeah, so fun.
But ChatGPT, Eventbrite is great for just looking up things on just events in your area. You can filter the area. Eventbrite, ChatGPT. I mean, those two are just great in general. And then obviously Google, but it's starting to get beat out by ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT is incredible. And something else that's incredible is something you shared with us in the community either last week or the week before, that you had, this Sunday, last week, that you started tracking everything.
Yeah.
And you've done that before. We've talked about it before, but it's like one of those things, I do it on and off as well when we want to like get back. Can you share the power of that? Because you also shared something about your grandpa and your finances today.
Yeah.
Just.
So I was like, you had mentioned tracking, and I was like, okay, so there's areas in my life where I'm like dialed in, and then there's areas where in my life where I'm like, I could be more dialed in. Who can help me in that area? And who do I trust? And finances that's a whole conversation. Everybody has a relationship with money, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. Like, we all have a relationship with money. So like, even just being willing to ask for help or like have somebody look at it. I was like, my grandpa's really good with money. Let me just like, Grandpa, can you audit my spending? Can you audit this? Can you audit that? And he's like, yeah. And like, I sat there and I was just like, you can take the discomfort for like 2 days, and then you can make all of the different decisions. Yeah. And I was like, or I could just keep here and be like, I don't know. And so I'm like, it was worth the experience that's not so pleasant, but also I'm like, I don't really plan to stay in unpleasant situations. So it's like, why not just put myself in a situation where I can, like, with a trusted person, obviously, and somebody who's good at that skill set. Like, I think finding somebody in the right skill set is important, because if they're not, that's a waste of time.
Yeah. It's one of those things, it's like, if we can just be brutally honest with ourselves and see the reality for what it is, and not continue. And I do this in so many areas of my life. I think we all do it to a certain degree, unless you're like an amazing, perfect
Unless you just all dialed in and like you figured it out, but
we bullshit ourselves.
Yeah.
I do this and I need to really, that's why I'm such a fan of journaling. It's because
Yeah.
I need to sit down with myself and be like, Pernilla, what's actually the case? Why am I not seeing progress within this area? Or what am I avoiding?
yeah.
What could 10x my growth in this area if I were to just look at it from like non-emotional standpoint?
But I think that's so difficult because like even in
is.
my journaling, I'm like, everything's fine, everything's good, blah, blah, blah. So it's like I'll still BS my way through journaling. And I'm like, you're still not, it's way more black and white when somebody else can just point it to you. That's why I went to data for fitness. So if I go to data for finances, if I go to data for data over feelings
Yeah.
on everything,
Yeah.
you get, I think it's more of a, I had a lot of friends in college, or actually like people that I did business with, like they were so black and white that I was like thrown off by it. I was like, there's no emotion in this whatsoever. I was like, but it taught me how to be very black and white with the things that need to be black and white.
Yeah.
And then we can have our own
Yeah.
feelings in the other areas.
Yeah. And take care of ourselves from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's been a really, I mean, that was uncomfortable having him audit it, but it was probably one of the most, that's probably going to be, and that's like a lever that I pulled last week to be able to set myself up for the next 2026 to be great. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that's going to be invaluable.
Yeah. Incredible. I love that you did that.
Yeah.
And that you have a grandpa who
That
is good at
knows
it.
that stuff. So
Yeah. Amazing. Talking about data. The day that this episode comes out is the day that we start the November Transformation Challenge, which
Fun.
in this challenge, we're giving away $1,500 to winners, and you're going to be
competing.
And talking about data and your fitness journey. We talked about your goals today for both November and potentially moving forward.
Yeah.
I know that you're someone who likes to share it out loud, state it, so that you can make it happen.
Yeah.
So will you share with us what your goals are and kind of the plan we
we had
set up?
Stating the fact that what was the get down to 18% body fat, I think was the target. I'm at 22 right now.
22.9?
22.9.
Yeah.
22.9 right now. 18% is the goal.
Which is wild.
Which is a
like
good-
almost
it's a-
impossible.
It's just a wild goal,
Yeah.
but
But this is what we
But
talk
it's
about
also
this.
that.
It's like aim for the stars
and
and you
at
might
least,
learn by the moon. Like it's like why not set a massive goal and then no matter what
because
happens.
if you at least for me, if I set a goal that's a little lofty, then I'm like, I actually have to work at this.
Yeah.
So it puts the little bit of pressure that I need to
Yeah.
put on myself.
Yeah.
And I thrive in that little bubble of pressure, like
Yeah.
good pressure.
Yeah.
So 18% body fat. I was closer to 100 pounds lean muscle mass than I thought I was. So
Yeah.
maybe 102, 101.
If you get to 100 while lowering your body fat percentage, like that's a body recomp that is very hard to achieve. So I would say if you get to 100,
just
I'm
to
going to be
100.
freaking jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be a goal.
But I know you can.
What was the other stuff you asked me? The macros?
Yeah.
The macros. Definitely hitting my protein goals. And then I'm going to learn in this challenge how to navigate the carbs, the fats,
And the overall calories.
overall calories, because that's something that I haven't necessarily focused on. I just went with I went with the least amount of friction.
But that's something you talk about.
Yeah.
Share that. The least amount of friction. You share that often.
Yeah.
Whenever we're going through, it's like, how can I do this in the least hard way
Like,
possible?
what is the least hard way to get this done? People make things so hard. I think when I first, if you want to do something and it's skill set stacking. So like if you don't have the skill and you're also trying to do something else and another skill, like there's multiple skill sets within the same thing. Like I understand now how to track protein. I understand how to track the food, weigh the food, do all that. Well, if you don't have that skill and then you're trying to learn the fats, the proteins, the carbs, the calories, the recipes, and try to figure out the right time to eat or like all these different things. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, that just seems so difficult. Can I just pick one, master this one skill set, and then move on. That's what I did. I was like, protein. I was like, well, that makes sense. I need to up my protein. So let me just focus on protein. And I get a little obsessive over things, but I think that's like we were talking about, like one track mind. Like if you have one goal, one track mind, then you can master that skill and then move on to the next thing. And so this is my next process, is to figure out the fats and to figure out the carbs. That's just another layer to the puzzle. Because it was like I've put together all of the other layers, but if we try to skip them, it's more frustrating.
Yeah.
And then you end up not doing it. Like, at least for me, I'm like, if it gets too frustrating or like there's too much friction, I'm like, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good way to go about doing it, is picking one skill set within the thing. So I think a lot of people in even Dream Life Society, they're like, I want to do all of it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Dream Life Society is our community, my community. Yeah. My challenge community. Yeah.
And I was like, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah. And it's like, just start with the one thing that you feel most called to. You even shared that.
Yeah.
When you joined in August, you started off with more so the mindset.
I started off
aspect
with the
of
mindset.
challenge.
Yeah, I started off with the mindset challenge. I started off journaling. I started off tapping into the mental like psyche, because I was like, I could do the workouts. I could just read the thing and do the workouts, but I wasn't like pushing myself in the workouts. I wasn't going all in that area, in that time in my life. I was like, let me go all in the mental side, because that's what I needed at that time in life. And so I was like, then circumstances change, situations change, and I'm like, and I've also had a great month doing mental work. And so I'm like, now you're in a good place to actually have the mindset to go into doing something physically hard, because it takes a lot of energy out of you.
It does. And it's something we often talk about, like the self-identity is everything when it comes to actually following through on the next level goals that we set ourselves, especially fitness, because fitness can be hard.
Fitness can be hard. I think if you adopt, I feel like everybody could be an athlete. Like,
I think so too.
I fundamentally believe, I'm like, you're athletic if you go to the gym. You're athletic if you're moving your body. You're an athlete, even if you're not competing at a sport.
Yeah.
Like, so adopting the I'm an athlete mentality or identity, I was like, the moment I stepped back into that, because I think I lost it for a little bit. Like, I was like, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not defined by like my performance. Nobody's watching me, tracking me. Nobody's doing any of this stuff. And so I was like, who am I without being an athlete? That was a really interesting time period.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, you've always been an athlete. This is just a different type of training. Now the training works on you more than you're competing for something.
Yeah.
So
that's what we thought before my competition. She just found out about my screensaver, which is a bunch of butts, because before my last competition, I mean, even still today, one of the first things I tell her is like, you're probably going to see my screensaver today. So let me just explain what's going on. It's like two butts. One is my butt from my last competition, and one is like some professional,
the model butt that you want to get.
Yeah, the butt I want to get, because it pushes me to reach my goals. And the amazing thing is, of course, Grace then shows me her phone, which is also like a vision board moment. So we're both in that boat. I was like, I know out of everyone, she's gonna get it. Other people, I'm like trying to hide it a little bit.
I've had was it Rory McIlroy on my background screensaver, and I'm like, I don't
remember you saying
even
that.
play golf, but just the sheer passion of that picture was so powerful for me that I was like, I want that in my life. Like,
explain, because you've explained it with me before.
So there was a moment. Was it Rory McIlroy was in his career? He was like 14 years in, trying to get the Grand Slam, and I'm like, I still don't know golf. I just happened to watch this one moment where he actually won, and I was like, I watched the release of the emotions, the passion, the experience, and I was like, every athlete understands that moment. I was like, I've had those moments in my life. And I was like, I wanted more of that in my life again. So I put that picture up on my phone, and I was like, this is gold. Like, I started feeling like it. I started using that moment when I would go do a PR. Like, if I was going to go do a PR, I'd watch the video of that passion, because like, and it would give me chills. Like, and so I was like, you get into the right state to then perform. And I was like, just watching him do that, I was like, every good moment or whatever, pinnacle moment comes with a whole backstory. And so I was like, knowing his backstory, I was like, this is a very powerful moment. So let me capture it.
Amazing. Talking about having that as a screensaver and also having the screensaver that I saw you have today. We talked a lot about manifesting and like creating your reality. When I say that, what comes to you?
That I've loved the concept of business on tour. And it's like I'm creating business on tour to where I can build these pockets of people or build these pockets of entrepreneurs in different cities and different states, different countries, and then just be able to fly in, do work for them, and then come back. And like that's been a vision of mine for so long that I was like, this is possible. And then now being able to actually like start working on that and start building that out has been really fun for me, because I'm like, I can see the next step further, or the next step closer and closer. And so that's been really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
As you're moving towards your dreams and your goals, you've shared a statement or a saying, a slogan with us inside of the Dream Life Society that so many of us have adapted and used in our life. Probably even shared you on the podcast before. Pass the test. Can you explain how the viewer, the listener, can use that in their life?
Yeah, so pass the test came from me, because I was like the kid who got A's and B's in college and A's and B's throughout everything. So I was like really good at school. Good. I just knew how to do that stuff, but I didn't know how to learn. And so I learned how to learn after college. And I was like, I got a master's degree without knowing how to learn. And I was like, so school teaches you what to learn, but life teaches you like how to learn. And so in school, you read lessons, you learn a lesson, and then you take a test. And in life, you're actually tested and you learn a lesson. And so I was like, if you're tested, that's the greatest moment, because you're going to learn a lesson from it. So if you pass the test, then you have the lesson and you can actually use that to inspire somebody else. And so I was like, it just hit home with like my career as a student, and then being able to pass so many tests in my life where I'm like, oh, that was just a testing moment. And so that's kind of like the culmination of it. But then it's like leading into like learning how to learn. When I learned that, I was just like, there's 4 levels to learning. There's unconscious incompetence, there's conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. And it's like those 4 levels of learning, if you know where you're at in those levels of learning, then you can figure out anything, because you understand why you're frustrated. You understand why you don't know what you don't know. And then you have this like radar of like where you're at in the process. And then it removes the emotions from learning. At least in my world, it did.
You have such a wild way to break things down in a way that everything that you experience in life becomes understandable.
Yeah.
Where most people, like myself sometimes, are just, let's say, frustrated or feeling stuck or but you break down why to such
like, why? I want to know why.
Yeah.
And I think I did that as a kid. I wanted to know why, but I've also just been obsessed with like getting to the, I guess, first principles of things. Is once you can get there, then you can reverse engineer it. And if you can reverse engineer it, then you can recreate the process. And so I'm like, that's cool. So like in fitness, I was unconsciously incompetent at macros or protein or like, and then I realized I was made aware of the fact that I didn't know this stuff. So then I learned this stuff, and then I started practicing it. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, it gets to your day where you're like, I don't have to think about food. And so it's like, you just go throughout your life and you're like, you have this skill set that nobody can take away from you, that is now a part of your life, and it adds to your life, or it serves you. And if it doesn't serve you, get rid of it. Like,
yeah.
But as long as it's serving you, keep it. and you don't have to think about it anymore. So I think the older you get, or the older I've gotten, I'm like, how many things can I become unconsciously competent at?
Yeah.
That I can just move through life and not have to like spend mental energy. Like you spend an enormous amount of upfront energy to learn the thing, to learn the skill or whatever it is. But then at the end, you have the skill and you don't have to think about it anymore. So you just like run like a little computer program.
Brilliant. You are brilliant. I know you have a community, you have a school community, and I want to dive into that. But first, for selfish reasons, I'm curious, why have you stayed inside of My Dream Life Society?
Yeah.
I'm actually curious.
That was so funny. So long story short, I don't do anything on Sundays. Like it's a day I don't do anything.
And you're at every single one of our calls.
And so I was like, I almost didn't show up to the first Sunday call because it was on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I'm like very adamant about protecting my rest and protecting the day. And sometimes it's Sunday, sometimes it's a different day depending on how the week goes. But for at that time in my life where I was like, I protect Sundays, like that is my day. So I was like, this is, to me, I was like, this feels like a work call. Like, I don't want to be on it. But for some reason, I was like, just get on it. Just show up. And you had such a graceful way of going about doing fitness that I was just like, it hit my heart. And I was like, so it's heart matter than it is, like, it was filling my soul more than it was taking from it. And so I was like, I just started showing up to every Sunday call. And I was like, it just fills my heart. So I'm like, maybe doing things on Sunday isn't necessarily not doing things, but it's doing things that only add value to my life. And so I was like, this brings an immense amount of value to my life that if I remove it, then I'm worse. So I'm like, you might as well keep it. So that's been really cool because it brings my heart peace.
That makes me so happy because literally after every single one of our calls, my heart is filled.
Yeah.
So that's
so it's like, as much as it is a fulfilling work for you, because it's like, that's your work. And it's cool to watch somebody love what they do because I understand what that feels like. So I'm like, I get to watch you and your magic every Sunday. And then I get to take that into my business because the reason of being fit and in shape is to be able to do everything that I do. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I get to take that energy, pour it into myself. That's like a moment for me to pour into myself, whereas you're pouring out. So it's like, you're pouring out into us.
But I'm receiving so much.
But you're receiving. So it's like this really cool energy shift, energy transfer, just being inside the community and seeing everybody else. And I get so lit up when somebody else has such a great win, because there's moments in there where I've shared like the most like vulnerable like moments, but it's been a safe place to be able to share that. And I think one of the ones that I was going to mention, I was like, there was a moment where everything that I was doing, like I literally said it, and you can probably find the clip in your thing, but I said it out loud and I was like, I feel like a failure. And I watched that clip again and I was like, if you say it out loud, you actually believe it. So your subconscious mind still thinks that you're a failure. Why?
Yeah.
And so but you were able to coach me through that moment. And I was just like, oh, I still think that because of all of these things that I'm a failure. And so it was translating into other areas of my life. And I was like, that's not true. And so it was a really cool moment to knock that belief out of my subconscious mind and say it out loud so that I could get rid of it.
And thank you for showing up in the way that you are in the community. Yeah. That's what makes the community called so special. Yeah. Is opening up our hearts in that way. And every single person listening to this episode is like, how on earth can this girl think that she's a failure? Because you're just incredible in so many areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you know that too now.
And I know it. So it's like, because I've placed so much pressure on myself to do certain things in my life and be ambitious. And I'm like, that's a price tag of what it is that we get to create. Because I'm like, you don't just go decide to create your dream life. And it's funny that you called it the Dream Life Society, because I'm like, that's what I was building before I met you. Yeah. And so I was like, I was carving out my own lane. I was doing the hard thing. I was making stuff happen that I was just like, it was so in alignment with me, but it was so against what other people wanted for me that I was like, I just need to find other weirdos that like are just doing the same thing and believe the same way so that I can feel some sense of normal. So I was like, I feel super normal in this space.
I'm with you on that. I feel that in so many ways.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I wasn't fully fitting in, but this community, it makes us feel like we're okay.
And it blows me away that like there's so many smart, like this community has so many smart, intelligent, absolute like savages in their careers, in their business. And it's like fitness is the one piece where it might just not be your strong suit yet. And so it's like you think you're failing, but I'm like, just go look at the rest of what you do. Like
oh, I just got shivers when you said that. That's so true.
Because, I mean, you should be the fittest. You're the coach.
Yeah.
So, like, everybody should be aspiring to be like the example that you've set. And so, like, some people's fitness level or their desire for fitness has a different reason to it. But, like, this is your career. Like, you should be really good at it. You should be the expert.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but every single one in there has an expert.
Yeah, they're the expert. They're the expert in their field and their expertise. And so it's like,
that's also why we can continuously, like every time someone opens their mouth on that call, we all learn something from their expertise. Like it's not, we're only there to talk about fitness. It's literally like a whole life situation.
That was also really interesting. I think the way you went about opening up the space to be able to do that, because I've never seen that in coaching. Mostly it's very specific to one topic. Like they only want to talk about one specific thing and not talk about the life aspect to it. And so I was like, that's really unique. And so that's really cool.
It feels very much like the things I care about. And it feels like the same things I care about is what other people care about. And also, like, everything is related. Yeah. Like you were saying, you started out with the mindset, but then it led to the fitness and your business, which now. Let's dive into your school community.
Let's do it.
Tell us about it.
So after like 4 years of doing online entrepreneurship, I had made all these connections with individuals and I'd helped so many personal brands with like social media stuff from the back end or like automations and building websites and doing content. I went to like 10 different countries helping personal brands shoot videos and photos for their personal brands. And I'm like, this is so much fun. Now let me like actually turn this into something. And then the school platform was the perfect place for me to put all of that stuff into it. And so over time, over the last like 2 months, I've just like started growing at that community of like 19 members in it. And they all have different goals with their business. Like there's a lawn care guy in there. There's a personal brand. There's 2 friends from like Australia that have like a bodywork business. And like each person has a different need in their marketing. Some are trying to figure out content, some are trying to figure out back end, some are trying to figure out what they're even selling. And it is very fun for me. It's like a puzzle. Like I get to sit there and do problem solving. But
which is one of your expertise. You're so good at that.
Yeah. So I was like, I get to sit here and problem solve with people that I really love. Watching the light bulb go off on somebody and being like, that makes so much sense, is like the coolest moments, or that actually worked, or understanding what a digital product is. Like some of them can't wrap their head around the fact that you can sell something that's not physical item, especially if they, like one of the guys, he's like in his 40s, has only ever worked in the oil business, and like wrapping his head around the fact that you can sell something digital still to this day is like, still doesn't get it, but he's building it. And so we're helping him build that product.
Exciting. So cool. I can't wait to see where this, because I know this is the beginning of something massive.
Yeah.
And I just want to quickly share that something happened that was a little unexpected that got you to now fully hone in on your own thing.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those situations where it's like, you can have a situation, unfortunate, you can call it, happen to you and be like, oh, this sucks. Now what do I do? Like, look at the problems. But right away, you're like, what is this here for me?
I finally had the space to be able to do what I was like, oh, all the dots connected. I can finally do this specific thing. And I was like, I have the space to be able to do that. Whereas I didn't have the space to be able to do that before. Working full time for like other brands, I was like very much in their brand. And now being able to be in, obviously building my own brand, but helping individuals build different aspects of their own brands. I was like, this gives me so much more room to problem solve, because you can only solve so many problems within one brand.
Yeah.
And then they have to go do the work. And then you have to get the data back to be able to make the next move. Whereas if you're just with one brand, you're stuck in the everyday part of it, which had its great skill sets that I learned. But I also like the feedback loop was so long that I was like, I need a shorter feedback loop. And I just know that about myself.
Yeah.
So being able to help one brand figure out their automations, figure out this part of their content, figure out what the heck a hook is on their videos has been really fun to do different aspects of it. Because like I said, it gives me the ability to problem solve all day.
So fun.
Yeah.
I just know it's going to lead to incredible things. And I have more questions.
Yeah.
But if someone would want to work with you, how could they find you? How could they...
So my school community, the link is in my bio on my Instagram, and that's the easiest. I tried to make it as easy as possible. So it's the link in bio is on my Instagram.
Amazing. And what's your Instagram?
GraceJohnson.coach.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys all heard it. She's freaking incredible. So
yeah,
I'm sure you're gonna get so much success.
Yeah.
Moving forward with this. And I'm really excited to see what it leads to, also because you've shared a couple more things as to dreams that you're thinking about today. And I just know it's going to happen. Yeah. Whatever way it's going to happen, something magical is showing up. It keeps showing up for you.
Everything,
because you make it happen, right? Like, it's one of those things when... meets opportunity. What's that saying?
Preparation meets
preparation. Yeah, it's like you've been spending years and years and years of preparation.
Yeah.
To now things are about to explode, and everyone who's around you, me, the community, your community, we all get so much from you. Just beautiful energy and wisdom and lessons that you've learned, and we get to learn.
Yeah, I used to be super shy, and so I used to never talk. So I was just the observer of everything. And then I remember being put in a position in college where I was like, I wanted to get a job. And I ended up getting a job as a group facilitator for team building events. And my entire job was facilitating people. And so I was in front of people for 13 hours at a time and like doing a bunch of team building stuff with them. But it taught me how to like public speak. And I never to this day thought of myself as a public speaker, but over time I was like, each job that I've been put in has been a creative field and a public speaking opportunity. And so I've learned how to do that. And then that inspired me to get my master's in communications and figure out different ways to articulate and communicate with people. And I think that overall skill set on top of marketing really has like blown like me away from just it's still to this day I'm like, how did you end up doing that?
It's funny how different things we do in life takes us on this crazy path and leads us in the craziest directions, but really towards things that, I mean, for you, I know it's all bringing you a lot of joy. And you were saying you're creating your dream life.
Creating my dream life, creating the content, creating the space to have the conversations. I think that's what's cool is like you have your space on your app to have the conversations, and then we get to dive deep into the video, like on the once a week conversations. I wanted to create a space where I could have multiple conversations within a week, help people solve problems like right then and there, so that they can solve their problems throughout the week. And so I've created a little bit of a different dynamic that was on purpose and is intentional.
Yeah, because that's what they're going to need.
That's what they need.
Yeah. As you know, because you listen to my podcast.
All the time.
It's called Challenge Your Norm. And I like to ask at the end of every episode, if you were to challenge the listener in some way today, something that they could do to potentially improve their life, what challenge would you give to them today? And it just has to be the first thing that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be...
That stupid phrase that I talked about was eat the frog, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that's coming to my mind. So I think that's the thing that I should talk about. But it's like, if you actually do the hardest thing first thing in the morning, your rest of your day is clear and it's free, and you can actually create and you can do the things that you want to do. But you have to do the hard thing first. And it doesn't always have to be something insanely hard, but it's doing that one task at the very beginning of the day that you know is going to probably take the most amount of energy to do.
But it's also what's going to
But it's
actually
also the
move
thing.
the needle forward.
It's actually the thing that needs to get done.
Yeah.
And instead of doing busy work, because I don't believe in being busy, I believe in being effective. And so if you're going to be effective, you have to get good at noticing which thing is the right thing to be doing at the right time. And so I would say eat the frog.
Eat the freaking frog. I love it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to keep practicing eating the frog first thing in the morning.
Because then you feel proud.
Yeah. Then you feel proud and you enter the rest of your day with a different type of confidence, a different type of energy, proudness, respect for yourself. I love it. Everything you share is so beautiful and valuable. And I'm so grateful that you came to LA and that I got to spend today with you and that you were willing to come on the podcast. This is something we've wanted to do for
I thought about it for a while.
So long time. And now you finally are here. And
good.
If you come back, we're going to do it again, hopefully. If you want to come back.
I would love to.
Yeah. I'm so excited for everything that's to come for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being who you are in the community, for me as a friend, and for everything you share with the world and with us today. You are exceptional, and I cannot wait to see what life has in store for you, because it is going to be magical.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. I hope you found Grace's words as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you want to join our next transformation challenge or just the membership whenever you're listening to this episode, you can click in the description below. I hope you go check out Grace and all of the beautiful things that she's doing on her platform. And I hope you go out there and have a beautiful day. Challenge your norm, because as always, in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.